on the microphone. I want to thank you all for coming, and I want you to look around you just for a moment and observe something that's fairly obvious. What do you see?
Space.
That's right, empty space, empty seats. Should you be discouraged by that?
No.
Now you're just saying that because you're like, I know the answer that he wants, we shouldn't be discouraged by that. But here's the thing, think back to high school sports or any kind of run. Anybody here a runner? Anybody do that? As you can see, I'm not. But I'll talk about you guys for a moment. When you take off on a long distance run, what are the hardest laps? The first lap? Is that the hardest lap, or is it the last? It's the last. I remember playing for Stanwood. I was a football man, not a runner, for obvious reasons. And I remember we had a game against Anacortes, and we were an awful team. And I mean an awful team. We did have 2 victories. One of them was because the other team didn't show. And the other one was the one I'm going to tell you about right now, and that was against Anacortes. We hadn't lost Anacortes in years. I mean, years, so there was a lot of pride at stake. And it turned out that Anacortes was a really great football team that year, and we were not. But we had tradition on our side, and I remember at the in the fourth quarter, I can't remember if we were up by 1 touchdown or if we were down by 1 touchdown. But it was one of those things where we were exhausted and we wanted to give up. And you're just breathing hard, you're outgunned, you're outmatched, you're not sure of a victory, but you know in your heart that if you don't give it your all for those final few minutes, what's going to happen? You're going to lose. And you know that if you give it your all and you lose, you're not going to feel quite as bad as if you gave up early. Although I won't lie to you, losing is horrible. Don't do it. I know this because we lost every game after that. That's not the lesson for you guys, though. The lesson is that there are plenty of times in every political campaign, it's extremely difficult to get people involved. It's just, yeah, the bell tolls for thee. It's one of those things where there's a tiny fraction of people in the United States that actually do get involved. In fact, we have all these conversations about, oh, there's too much money in politics. And I always say there's not enough. What's amazing is Americans will spend more on bubblegum than they will on politics. And this is about the direction of your country. What is it, around 3 to 5% of the American people actually get involved in a campaign? 3 to 5% of the people actually show up to an event. So you guys are already in this elite, right? You're already among a tiny fraction of people that are willing to actually back up what they say with action. So more is required from you. You're the first string, you're going to be the most tired, and you're the folks that these guys are relying on not to give up. Also, when you look around and see your friends and neighbors here, you probably see a lot of familiar faces, because it's the same people that show up to these kinds of things. It just is. But it doesn't mean it ends here, because when you take the literature here, when you volunteer, when you go out and doorbell, when you talk to your friends and neighbors, when you put that yard sign in your yard, now this is a shock, when you actually write the check to the candidates so that they can respond to the masses of money that are about to come against them, you can spread this meeting beyond where it is right now. So don't be discouraged. This is what happens everywhere. And this is and in Snohomish County, you're at a rebuilding. In Snohomish County, you're a pivotal county. Because in Snohomish County and in Pierce County, you got to make up for King County. That's right. Now, King County, they have a lot of folks, seemingly, and then you realize, oh my gosh, Pierce and Snohomish have got to make up for it. So don't be discouraged. Just know that I think I'll paraphrase Lincoln. Your duty is to do your best, and the results are God's, and that's the way it works. So do your best. And we have potential for victory. The nation is at. How many people think this is the most important election of their lifetime? Or among them? Just about everybody, right? And what's incredible to me, and this is a true story, there was a doorbeller. My wife was doorbelling for my brother-in-law. He's got it really easy to get volunteers in my household. And she got through talking with somebody who said that exact same thing. Hey, this is the most important election of our lifetime. And she said, oh, okay. Yes, I'm really concerned about the direction of the country. I just can't believe how much the debt is pouring in here. We can't handle that. We've got some unfunded liabilities in Olympia the traffic's a nightmare, and it seems like nobody's taking that seriously, and nothing can be built anymore. Geez, we've just got to do something. And she told me, she said, well, can I put a yard sign in your yard? And he said, I don't like the way that makes the flower beds look. I'm gonna wait on that. And I just said, it's an amazing thing that people who can cite that the founding generation and the fact that there are lives, fortunes, and sacred honor at stake will not give up the beauty of a flower bed for the duration of an election. None of you need to be that way, and if you've got friends that are that way, you need to remind them not to be that way, and you need to tell them to get some skin in the game, because now is the time. Candidates have to be ready to win. Now, some things will be out of their control, but if they're not prepared, if they don't have the tools necessary, I think it was MacArthur who said that 90% of victory was preparation. If they don't have that preparation necessary, they won't be able to respond, and they won't be able to capitalize on mistakes made at the end by their opponents, and they won't be able to win. So these things are up to you, the grassroots. It's unfair that so much falls to so few, but that's the way it works. And with that, I want to thank and applaud all of you for coming out here today. Thank you. Now, it's very easy for me to introduce our first speaker, because I used to ride the school bus with his niece and nephew. So I've known this family for a very long time, and I've always admired this family. In fact, it seems like he's been following me around lately because I've delivered a lot of speeches in his district, and I keep saying, hey, this guy, it's a funny thing because some people will say, no, this guy, by some people I mean the media, people who don't want him to win. They'll say, that guy's too conservative. And I'll say, you mean like Jack Metcalf was too conservative? Like that? Because John Koster is the kind of guy that people know, that people trust. They know he's a hard worker. They can see it in his face. They can see it in his career as a dairy farmer, as a councilman. They know and trust him as a state representative. He's a man of honor, of principle, of conviction, and we need to make sure that we do everything we can to make him win. Please welcome John Koster.
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. One thing candidates don't do enough, and that's say thank you. For all of you who have rang those doorbells and put those yard signs. Actually, the yard sign, red, white, and blue looks good anywhere, even in anybody's flower bed, don't you think? For all of you, those of you who have rang doorbells and put signs up, made phone calls, contributed money, worked on mailings, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you. I am most grateful. We have 39 days to go, though, and it is sort of the fourth quarter, so we have a lot of work to do yet. And Dave already asked this question. This is, without question, the most important elections of our lifetime. You have to go back a long, long way in history to find another election that means as much as this one does to, I think, the continuity of the Republic moving forward. In our system of government, our founding fathers envisioned a people that were informed and active and engaged in their government. So thank you for being engaged and active. Bill Clinton did say something right that I agree with. In fact, at the Democratic Convention, he said there are two very different visions for America. There are two very different visions for America. And American people are going to choose between those two visions in 39 days. 39 days, think about that. 39 days, we're going to find out what kind of country we're going to have for our future generations. That alone ought to make you think about going out and working harder. But, the one vision believes that that government is the answer to the solutions, or to the issues and the problems that we face here in America today. And as a consequence, you're going to have government-run health care. You're going to have a doctor between you and your doctor, a bureaucrat between you and your doctor making decisions, or
Excuse
you're
me,
going to
sir.
have more
You've got a lot of
bailouts.
good to say.
Can we turn up the volume just a little bit?
You can't hear. Okay.
Thank you.
You're going to have You're going to have more debt and more deficit and increased spending. The deficit still you're going to see that debt continue to rise. We're at a level of debt in this country that's just mind-boggling. It's staggering. And we're leaving this for future generations. And the outcome of that, the end of that, is not good. We don't have to look very far away to see, very far to other countries to see the end of that. The other vision for America is one that believes that the solutions are found in the people, in the free market. That if you keep government limited, as our founding fathers intended, and you keep taxes at a minimum, and you allow that intelligence and ingenuity and the innovative spirit of the American people, their desire to help one another, to make this a better place for our children and our grandchildren, they'll go out and provide the goods and services to make our lives better. And you have jobs and you have commerce, and we're all better off for it. That's the other vision. They're very, very different visions. And that's the choice that I believe Americans will make in 39 days. Now, there's a lot of work to do. There's an awful lot of work to do. And I thank all of you for what you've done. And by the way, my website is kosterforcongress.com. And if you haven't got enough to do, believe me, we can find more for you to do. And your friends and neighbors and everybody else you can find. But you know, the days when I get a little bit tired or I'm a little bit discouraged, and that happens once in a while, I need to remind myself, I do remind myself that, you know, this isn't about me. It's about something much bigger than any one of us. Much, much bigger. I've got 4 children and 9 grandchildren. And I think about the kind of future we're going to leave our kids. And I got to tell you, in the next 39 days, when that 39th day comes, I don't want to look back and say we shoulda, coulda, woulda done anything different than we're going to do in the next 39 days. So let's go out and leave it all on the field. You know, Dave talked about the fourth quarter. You don't want to walk off the field and say, darn, I wish I'd done a little work, worked a little harder, or got that other block. Let's leave it on the field the next 39 days, and let's win this thing in November. Thank you.